Hello. Today, what I want to talk about and share with you is something that I post a lot on my social media, which is acupuncture points to work with fear and everything that goes along with fear. It can be states of paranoia. It can be the stagnation of fear that sometimes leads to obsessive compulsive tendencies. Sometimes it can be anxiety, sometimes it can manifest physically in the low back pain. It could manifest as headaches, could manifest as constipation or urinary difficulties. They also say it can manifest in pains in the loins, pains in the front of the body, the genital region, or the lower abdomen. You know, in classic Chinese medicine, they always see everything as mind-body, psychosomatic, that there is a root cause that we have to find out what it is. So as an acupuncturist, we usually find this out through the pulse or the tongue, but also you can see it sometimes in the complexion, sometimes you can see it markings on the body, but also we follow classic signs and symptoms. The ancient Chinese 2,000 years ago, it's very interesting, they mapped out the psychosomatics of the body, certain symptoms that they correspond with certain other findings, like in the pulse or markings on the body can sometimes show you where you might be stuck in your mind. Something stuck in the mind might manifest in the body, but they say it's also can be vice versa. Something stuck in the body on the physical level can also manifest in the mind. Sometimes it happens at the same time. You may have the physical symptoms and the emotional or mental symptoms happening simultaneously. But especially at this time, a lot of people are experiencing a lot of fear, a lot of negative thinking, a lot of paranoia in general, sense of conspiracy theories that you can't trust anything, and just a lot of sense of negativity, which is causing a lot of physical problems, but I think it's causing a lot of suffering widespread. At least I see it a lot. I also see it manifesting in my body. So there's a particular acupuncture point. I'm going to show you how to do it through acupuncture, but I'm also going to lead you how to just do it through massage and meditation. So the main point I'm going to show you is on the foot. I want you to find the inner ankle, find the tip of the inner ankle, and I want you to go back towards the Achilles tendon and find the middle of the Achilles tendon in line with the tip of the malleola, the ankle bone. And you're going to feel that you fall into a little cavern there. So this point is probably one of the most popular and famous of all acupuncture points. It's kidney 3, the third point on the kidney channel. So a little bit below that, I'd say about ½ an inch below that, and almost to the border of the Achilles tendon is the point we want to work with. They call it the Great Bell. It has a very spiritual title to it, I think for a good reason. I always think of Buddhist imagery, like when you're in the Buddhist meditation hall and they ring the bell, they ring the chime, or in other traditions, they ring the gong, and somehow wherever you're stuck in your emotions and your mind, it just releases. It's almost like your mind opens and expands. That's what they say this point does. It opens up the low back, it opens up the diaphragm area right here. And it has a special relationship with all the things I talked about: fear, paranoia, obsessive compulsive disorder, but also blockage in the elimination organs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to needle this point. And what I like to do is I like to add moxibustion to it. Moxibustion is the application of a special Chinese herb that we call mugwort. Its Latin name is Artemisia vulgaris. It's a very strong warming herb that gets blood flowing. It dries up dampness. It opens the portals of perception. It smells very calming. It's used internally in herbal medicine for a lot of gynecological problems because it's very warming inside. But in classic shamanic medicine, they would actually use it to get rid of ghosts, to get rid of entities, anything that might be causing negativity in our thinking process, maybe causing addictions or causing fixations. So very simply with that, I just notice a warming sensation going up through my legs, but I mostly actually notice it in my head. There's like a clearing of the head, especially here. And what I want to imagine actually is that this part of my head is opening and this part of my head is opening, that there's light coming out of the top of my head. More of a sense of expansiveness rather than, I think, with fear and paranoia, we tend to get very tunnel visioned. We tend to, well, as they say in the classic language, they say fear suspends the energy. We end up sort of hovering. We're not grounded, but we're also not expansive. We're kind of very tied in a knot, close to ourselves, and I know that's the experience a lot of us have. So I'm going to take this needle out, and as you know, there's blood that comes out. This is a common thing with these types of points. Kidney 4, the great bell, is considered a low point, which means they translate that as connecting vessel point. I think a lot of times, the way I see it at least, is that if we have a mental or emotional stagnation, it can allow us to feel disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from everyone else, because ideally emotions should be free-flowing. We experience emotions, and this is how we interact with the world, interact with ourselves, but anytime emotions get stuck, we tend to feel isolated, we tend to feel cut off, we tend to feel alienated. You know, in some cases, like panic attacks, we feel separate from our own bodies. You know, in terms of anxiety, we definitely feel not in the present moment, and often with paranoia, we feel disconnected from everyone else as if they're our enemy rather than our brothers and sisters. As I think when we have an open heart and free-flowing energy, that's how we feel, a sense of oneness. So as you see, there's a little bit of blood that comes out, and with these low points, they say, as you see, I didn't do any strong manipulation to cause that to happen. It's just having an expression. So what's happening is the stagnant energy is coming out, releasing itself with just one little drop of blood. And usually the blood's dark, which means there's a blood stasis. And the way blood is seen in Chinese medicine is the spirit, the Shen as they call it, which they say is be the spirit, the mind, and the emotions, the animation, the way we experience the world. They say it rides on the blood, it circulates through the blood. It's stored in the heart, at least our personalized version of the spirit is stored in the heart. They say the oneness spirit is stored in the brain. But anyway, it's stored in the heart and it circulates through the blood. So anytime we have an emotional or mental stagnation or fixation, they say it manifests in blood stasis. That's why these points and these channels can often be seen in their, imbalanced manifestation state as spider veins, dark blood vessels on the surface of the skin. Sometimes that's how you know you have emotional stagnation, mental stagnation. It could also be physical stagnation, like you have a virus or something that hasn't resolved, so it gets stuck in these blood vessels. But more commonly, it's seen as a mental and emotional thing. So anyway, as you see where the point is, now that there's a little drop of blood there, a little indication, what you can also do is you just take your finger and just go onto it. First of all, you feel kidney 3, the indentation there. It's called the Great Ravine, so it actually feels like a ravine, like you fall into, like a ditch there. And then you go down from it and you feel the bell, the Great Bell, which actually feels a little upraised for me, a little banded up because, obviously I have a little bit of fear, stagnation there. So you can just take your finger onto it. You can massage it, but I think what I mostly want you to do is just feel into it. Almost feel like you have a beam of light coming out of your thumb that goes into it. So you're taking your beam of light into that point, and then you're waiting for the chi, for the energy from it to come up and meet you. This is what we do with acupuncture. Actually, we go into the point, not very deep at all, but we're waiting for the energy of the body to come up and grab the needle. They say it's like a fish biting a hook. As an acupuncturist, you actually feel it. You put the needle in, and then you feel the energy come up, and it bites onto it, and then it'll start vibrating. So I want you to do this as well, but just with your thumb, go onto it, put your beam of light into the point, into the great bell. Think about the great bell. Just think about that name, what it brings up for you, and then wait until you feel some energy from your body, from the point coming up to your finger to meet it. And then you can start to meditate into it because you have contact. So the contact, you can let your mind go into the contact. Always with meditation, we want a point of focus, usually in just regular Zen or Tibetan meditation, the shamatha meditation, for example. We just use our breath as the point of focus. But in this, I actually want you to use the point as the point of focus, the energy you're feeling in the point, the energy that you're giving into it, that connection that is happening. And so I want you to go into your body, close your eyes, travel down from your mind, from your heart, from your belly, down into that point, make contact into it, and just listen. Classically, they would say acupuncture points are like doorways. They're portals. They even make this image of that like a wise sage lives inside of each of the acupuncture points. So you go to the acupuncture point like you're going to visit a priest or a teacher. And then you go and you sit with them and you let them reveal their wisdom to you or their revelations. But what is so wonderful about acupuncture and so empowering and inspiring about it is that all of the points, all the acupuncture points are on our own body. We don't have to go outside ourselves for any of these messages. If we practice meditation, we can go into these points and we can spend time with them. And what they say classically is that you can gain revelations from the deepest part of yourself, which they might say, the collective conscience, the unconscious, or that sense of oneness. Actually, Chinese medicine believes when I said that the big spirit lives in the brain, that's what they're talking about. That in our brain is everything from all of our past lives, all of our ancestors, because this is what they believed back in that time. And I think it's very empowering, lives in the brain, especially if the crown is open, we're always receiving. We are in touch with the oneness of everything. Every sort of idea that's been put out there, every bit of technology, scientific revelation, deep spiritual lessons, understandings, it's all open to us. So at this point, the great bell, kidney 4, actually is said to influence the marrow, influence the essence, influence the brain, the deep knowing consciousness. Well, it also, they say, influences sexuality, libido, sort of a lust for life, but it has this deep, earthy connection to the ancestors, connection to what they would say is the Po spirit, the spirit of being a human being, of being in human form, all of the lessons about what that entails, and the wisdom inherent in it. So just by going into this meditation, you really need to try it and spend some time with it to have an experience of it. I mean, I can tell you when it's very inspiring, maybe what I'm telling you, but I really encourage you to experiment with it. See what comes up. First of all, see if you can make that connection with your own energy coming up, your own energy going down. See if it starts to awaken things in your brain. See if it starts to loosen tightness in your back, in your solar plexus, opens energy in your root. And also you can just bring your experience and lean into the experience of what is the fear state? What is the paranoia state? And what happens with me is when I go into it, I start to see it transform. I actually, the more I lean into it, the more I actually feel the energy rising and changing and gathering. I may feel like a lot of tension in my lower abdomen or my low back, and I just really focus into it and watch it kind of break up and change, and I follow where the energy moves in my body. And then when I come out of it, maybe I have some insights, or maybe things have just changed in my body. Maybe there's just a lightness, a release, a different perspective. So